Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Pillar to Post. I'm your host, Pete Wall, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about All Elite Wrestling. Now, I want to go on about a few things. One of the topics being the announcement of Bash at the Beach, as well as, I read some articles about AEW, and it was along the lines of a lot of what I've discussed on my channel when I'm doing my review shows. So we're going to get into that as well. Problems I'm seeing with AEW as well as others that they're seeing. Let's begin. Let's begin with AEW Bash at the Beach. From the very beginning, AEW, as in Cody Rhodes, Tony Khan, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, everyone on the roster, they talk about All Elite Wrestling being something new, the alternative to what you're seeing on WWE or any other wrestling promotion out there. But starting to notice a little bit of a trend. Why Bash at the Beach? I do understand it. I do. They're going to be throwing the event at a beach, I assume, or near a beach. But why use an old WCW pay-per-view name if you are supposed to be the new? You are the alternative. It's, to me, taking a step back for AEW. It is. I understand WCW was headlining for I don't know how many years, whooping the shit out of WWE. And they say they don't want a war with WWE. They want to just be an alternative. They want to be themselves. So if you want to be yourself, then why, pray tell, are you using an old WCW pay-per-view name? Could have just as easily gone just a slightly different title, Brawl at the Beach, or Beach Brawl, or anything, but something that's already been used. Okay, Bash at the Beach. It's old. It's happened already. Give us something new. Look at their very first televised pay-per-view. Not the ones like All In, All Out, or Fight for the Fallen. Any of those. I'm talking about after they came on television. Their very first one was Full Gear. Crap ass title for a pay-per-view, in my eyes. I understand it was kind of this shtick that they had on Hangman Page. He was always in full gear, always ready to go, but it was a bad pay-per-view name, and they're following that up by taking a step back and calling it Bash at the Beach. I don't know if this is a pay-per-view or just a title for their upcoming Dynamite show that they're having. I didn't read it. I was I got told by a friend who posted it in his Skype chat, and if it's a pay-per-view, even televised show, sorry, but you're taking a step back in my eyes. You're not supposed to be WCW reincarnated. You are supposed to be the All Elite. You are supposed to be the alternative. You are supposed to be the new kids on the block. Now, if you look at NWA, they are very traditional. They are taking over kind of where NWA left off. Studio production. Now, Billy Corgan has talked about, elevating NWA further, and there will be more news to come on that. And when that does break, I will bring it to you. But this in my eyes, I don't see it as a good thing for AEW. I believe that there's going to be a lot of people out there like me that don't just point out the good in AEW, but they also point out the bad. And I have to say, this is a bad for AEW. I think it is a major step back. If you are supposed to be bringing the alternative, bringing something new to the table to the wrestling industry, you can't be taking a step back. Now, there is a way to honor the past in what you do, but to full on just simulate the old company, and I'm talking about WCW here, to me that's just lazy. Okay. um, and there might be people out there that disagree with me. Well, disagree all you want. I am not saying I'm hating on AEW, but I am not liking the direction they went by choosing Bash at the Beach. Could have been anything else that had beach in it except for Bash. Okay. Now, the Monday Night Wars was a big deal. It was everything back in the 90s. WCW, they had the opportunity to conquer WWE. They dropped the ball in the end. I'm afraid if AEW keeps on going the way they are, they're going to end up dropping the ball. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see them vanish because they were making bad choices. And sorry, I don't care if anyone agrees or disagrees. They can read me out in the comments below. But this is definitely a bad choice in my eyes. This is my opinion, folks, and I will speak my opinion any which way I please. Now, further discussion on AEW, and I brought this up many times when I'm doing my reviews on Dynamite as well as Dark. Um, it's all about the Flash. Right now it seems like that's what it's all about. You take a match like Hangman, Adam Page, and Pac. You see a lot more wrestling in there. Yes, there's some high flying, there's some risk taking in there, but it's not overly done. It is done in a way where they can get people to start inching to the edge of their seats and then get the big pops right when they think you can't get any closer to the edge. They bring it to you. And then you have matches like the Young Bucks versus Private Party, Private Party versus anyone, Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. It is spot after spot after spot after spot. And it is very hard to maintain that kind of excitement as you move forward because the fans start wondering, okay, we've seen it all now. What else can you do? You know? And it's not to say that I'm not fascinated how they can string a lot of these flips and these high risk and high impact maneuvers off, but you're losing something in the end as well. And when you see that the wrestlers are not selling those moves, it takes away from everything. It takes away from the story of the match. It takes away from the match itself. It takes away that imagination of the fans. Oh my God, that looks like it legit hurt. Was that real? Was that gimmicked? It takes that aspect away. And I understand that wrestling has evolved to a faster pace in a lot of ways. Tag team wrestling as a whole, it wasn't just about flips and tricks. It was about being able to see four guys in that ring really tell that story and really pull you in. And it was like you were getting more bang for your buck. See, you look back in the late 80s, even the early 80s and early 90s, a lot of people considered that those tag titles and tag matches were more important than the Intercontinental Championship and the World Championship and the U.S. Championship. You know, because you were getting more bang for your buck. You were getting more storytelling. You were getting more. You were getting more wrestling. It wasn't just two guys going at each other. A lot of rest holds and stuff. No, you got tired, you tag in your partner. You got smart, frequent tags. You cut your opponent off from his partner, and you control the match. And then the person that's been cut off from their partner makes a comeback, makes that hot tag. It gets exciting again. But with tag team wrestling, as I've seen it portrayed on AEW, they say that AEW is going to elevate the tag teams like no other company has done before. Yes, we're seeing a lot of tag team matches, but it is over the top, and you need to slow it down a little bit. You know, it doesn't need to be high spot, right after high spot, right after high spot. Okay, there is a time and a place for that. Not every match needs to be executed the same way. The women's division. The women's division needs to change. I read an article, and I strongly had to agree with it, where they said that it seems like the women's division was an afterthought. All the focus was on Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho. And I have to agree. I am intrigued by what Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, and and the rest are doing. But when you say that the women's division is going to be better than anything you've ever seen, I'm sorry, I haven't seen that yet. And if you disagree with me, well, then you are just a delusional halfwit, and you don't know what you're talking about. They have a champion right now in Riho, very skilled, very entertaining to watch, but she's not showcased at any time. She's not really doing any promos. When she does do a promo, you can't understand anything because it's all in Japanese. If you are going to have your star of the women's division, then she needs to be able to communicate with the fans. She needs to be able to express herself with the fans. She needs to be able to connect. And right now there is no connection with the AEW fans. This is where managers make the wrestler. And that is a lost art in almost every promotion I've watched in the last 15 years. There is no real managers out there anymore, and besides Paul Heyman. And really, he's not even doing that anymore, you know? So it's sad, because a manager with a person like Riho or anyone else, any other superstars that can't communicate properly in English, would benefit strongly with a manager in their corner. The manager being able to connect with those fans for that wrestler. And right now, we're not getting that. On top of that, we're not really getting good women's wrestling from AEW. They're short matches for the most part, and there is a lot of botches in a match. There is a lot of gimmicky crap in a match of the women's division. Okay, you look at the last title defense by Riho against her mentor and her teacher, and there was so much crap in that match. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell which one of those women were supposed to be the face and the heel. Okay, you have one that is pulling, low tactic style maneuvers on the champion, and yet she's trying to get the fans to rally up behind her at the same time. I understand wrestling is far different out in Japan than it is here in Canada as well as US, but it is something that would really need to be worked on for AEW. And I know they are still at the very beginning of their promotion. It is a brand new company, but they need to sort some of this out fast. They need to be able to start depicting who's good, who's bad, who's walking that fine line, that gray line, and kind of swing it both ways to their advantage. They need to define those characters, and right now you don't really get that. You have two heels in Chris Jericho and oh, his name is escaping me right now, and this is the trouble with new companies. Names escape you. I keep on wanting to call him MJF, but no, that's Mean Joey Green. And Maxwell Joseph Friedman or Maxwell Jacob Friedman or whatever the fuck his name is, MJF. You had two heels in the ring insulting each other and then playing with each other. It didn't really give you that sense of a defined heel in either man. MJF likes to say he is the biggest heel of the company, and you get that sense with Chris Jericho as well, but do they really, really showcase that? I haven't seen it too much yet. I really haven't. And you get that sense in the women's division. There is no clear cut, except for what Brandy Rhodes is doing right now. The dark, mysterious bullshit she's pulling with Awesome Kong. Well, it's all good if you want to just develop the elite. But the rest of the company needs to be done too. You need to really start positioning who your faces are, who your heels are, who are those fine line walkers. And sadly, we're not getting that just yet. I have faith in the company that they will get there, and that I also understand that they are a very new company. They are at their infancy, but they needed to have a lot of this set up before they went to live broadcast. I think, in my opinion, what would help in a big way is if they actually started doing at least one house show a week. One house show. And I think it would really help benefit the women's division, being able to get those women to start connecting with each other, as well as the fans a little bit more. You roll into the new city, your next city that you're going to be going live in, and you do it like maybe at the beginning of the week, you have your house show, and then at the end of the week, well, you have your televised show. Doesn't take away from the storytelling. The house shows can be used to basically showcase the wrestlers, as well as help them get to know each other, as well as the fans get to know them a little bit more. And we are not getting that right now, because I don't know who the hell Riho is, other than she used to tag with Kenny Omega in mixed tags out in Japan, and Kenny Omega really loves her. And so far, what I'm seeing is that's the only reason why she is AEW Women's World Champion. That is the only thing I'm seeing right now. Other than that, yes, she is skilled in the ring. Does she bring the entertainment value to the women's division? No. Do I think women like Allie and Britt Baker could? Yes. They can do it on multiple levels because they can connect with the fans as well as make those matches interesting. Now, Allie comes down to the ring like a bubbly half-wit, but that demeanor changes as soon as she's in that ring, because once she's in that ring, it's all about business. And she gets down and dirty in that ring, and I like that. But it's kind of like a split personality in a way, because you see her kind of losing control in the match sometimes, but she's got all this bubbly personality as she's coming down to the ring. So a clear definition of her character needs to be made. I'm very proud to see that they've got a Canadian in that ring there, especially one from Toronto, Ontario. But definitions need to be made, and you need to know these wrestlers a little bit more, and right now we're not getting that. Production value. Production value needs to be picked up. And, the articles I've read, I had to agree fully. Audio is not the greatest. Entrance music can be barely heard sometimes over the commentators, or promos in the locker room, in the backstage area, are not very well done. When I say not very well done, I mean it's like they tone down the volume when they're shooting these promos, and it's not coming across the television very well. The sound is way off, and usually you end up having to turn the volume up to hear it clearly. Some of the camera work when you're in a match where it's in a very interesting moment, and then they'll do this pullback, and you go from really close up in the ring to very far away, and then it'll switch camera views, and you kind of lose that momentum that you were watching in that match. And it's like, okay, I just missed what happened here because you went far away, you faded way the fuck out. That needs to change. They need to start working with the camera crew a little bit better and getting them to understand you don't need to pull away like that and lose that momentum in the match, because the fans just missed something good. What else could I discuss? And yes, I am discussing the cons of AEW today. I am not going to be, blowing smoke up people's asses or trying to make people think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with All Elite Wrestling. There is. But what they are bringing to the table is still very interesting. Okay? I'm not going to say otherwise, because NWA as well as all AEW has really brought that passion for wrestling back. But I do still see the problems of what they're doing wrong and what they need to do to get better. Hangman Adam Page, like we seen on Being the Elite on YouTube yesterday. It seems like the Elite have kind of split their ways. Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page have kind of said that they need to walk their own path for the time being, because one, well, Kenny's kind of up in the air about losing to John Moxley, and Adam Page feels like he's the man that's losing all the time. He's the one that's always at the bottom, and he needs to go it alone for a bit. So that, I think, would have been better to do on television. Yes, we're getting more of the Elite, but it would have made more sense to do that on AEW Dynamite or Dark than it did to do it on YouTube. I understand that BTE is a big thing, and they've been doing it since back in the days of Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was their way to get the fans to connect with them a little bit more and get to know them a little bit better. But sometimes I think it could be done better on television. Will it be done on television? Probably. In a different way? I believe so. But sometimes they're losing stuff because not everyone will be watching them on YouTube. I don't believe they will. You have the casual fans that don't go to YouTube to see what they're doing on their channel. They need to connect with the casuals as well as the diehards. Am I a casual or a diehard? I think I'm a little bit in between. I love what they're doing, but I see the problems that they are bringing upon themselves as well. You look at all these high octane matches where it's flip after flip after flip, leap off the ropes, somersault over the ropes, you name it, they're doing it. What's going to happen when all these guys start having to take time off because of injuries? You already had Kenny Omega off of television for a week because, the doc said he wasn't cleared. Okay, very well could have been storyline, but if you look at that man's body, he suffered greatly. And John Moxley had a very, very quick match on the last episode of Dynamite. And that tells me, yes, he was sending a message to not just the locker room, but as well as as Tony Khan, but as well that he was hurting. And they knew it, so they just wanted to make sure that not every one of these guys that did a big deal at Full Gear weren't off of television. They're going to have to start being careful with that stuff. Tone it down just a little bit. It's all good. It is. It's all good to see all these things being done. But you don't need to get everything done in that ring in every match. Take half of those flips out of there. Add in a little bit more wrestling. Add in a little bit more technical ability. Save the body a little bit. It doesn't mean you have to do a bunch of rest holds. It just means you're telling the story a little bit clearer. You're defining that story. And it isn't all about being a spot monkey. Tonight is NWA. We've got NWA Power at 6 p.m. I'll be tuning in. I'll be watching that. I'll be having my review on that show. I'm going to tell you right now, last week I didn't do a review on Dark or on Power. I was not very happy with Power last week. And it might be just me, but the excitement level wasn't there. The matches were very quick, and frankly, it just didn't really inspire me. I kind of tuned out a couple of times, and I shouldn't be tuning out. Just me. So stay tuned for later on. I want to thank everyone for watching. If you agree with me, you agree. If you don't, you don't. Share your opinions in the comments below about what you think is wrong with AEW at the moment. And I don't want to hear or read anyone saying, it's just shit. No, it is not shit. It is a really good alternative. It's just they have their issues that they need to resolve. But share your comments below. Maybe we do another episode and we talk about the pros. And we discuss some of the comments below of your thoughts. So I want to thank everyone and stay tuned for later on tonight, because at 6 p.m. is NWA Power. At 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., I don't know which time they'll do it, is AEW Dark. We're going to do a review show on both, and we'll go from there. And then tomorrow night is AEW Dynamite once again, and I'll be back for that as well. Will there be more WWE 2K20? Of course there will. I'm really hoping some patches come in really soon to fix some of these issues, because frankly, it is very hard to play. I tried doing a tournament this morning, just a test tournament, and it bombed really quick. Error. I was able to do a fatal 5-way. That went through, but the tournament crashed the first match. I even had entrances shut off. So there is still going to be some coming, but we're waiting on fixes. Will there be some 2K19 being played? Maybe. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. This has been Pete Wall. Have a good day. Have a better tomorrow. I'm out of here.